a girl
and her gay watch the Magic School Bus.
It's the show where we yap about life, science, and go on an occasional rant about the state of the world. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Matt. We're your hosts, and we're here to invite you to our weekly yap sesh, bring you some 90s and 2000s nostalgia, and maybe teach you a little science.
Every Wednesday, we're hopping on the Magic School Bus, unpacking the science without the pressure of a pop quiz, and I'll be asking the questions I was too bored or afraid to ask in school.
Curiosity leads.
Chaos follows.
Welcome back to another episode of A Girl and Her Gay Watch the Magic School Bus. Today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 4, Magic School Bus Gets Eaten. Sarah, before we recap this episode, what are you thinking about today?
Hi, Matt. Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast today. I am thinking about the weekend that I had this past weekend. I think we didn't really get to talk about it too much, but my mom and I took a trip down to Williamsburg, Virginia, because there was an exhibit at a museum that we wanted to go see. It had outfits and costumes from the TV show Outlander there.
Mm-hmm.
And Mom and I loved the show Outlander. She's read all the books. So it was really special, cute little bonding mother-daughter thing to go see the costumes together. But we actually went to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg for 2 of the 2.5 days we were down there. We used to go there all the time when my brother and I were kids. She would take us down and we would run laps around that park. And we haven't done that in so many years. But I would like to acknowledge the fact that my body is aging.
Yeah.
I could handle the roller coasters, and maybe this is something that you can help me understand. The roller coasters I could absolutely handle, but the rides meant for kids, the rides that I would stay on all day and all night when I was young, specifically the swings and the boat, messed with. I was actually afraid.
Yeah.
The big roller coasters, fine. Upside down, great. Launching roller coasters, backwards roller coasters, fine. All good. The swings, I actually, if they went on for any longer, if we had gone on one more loop, I think I might have actually started to cry out of fear.
Oh, no.
I hated it.
Was it the height or the spinning?
I think it was because I could visualize what would happen if a chain were to break or the little wicker seat that I was sitting in would
they
give
do seem
way
very
to my
frail.
fat ass. I was working the trajectory of okay, if this swing comes detached here, I would be 800 feet that way with 4 broken limbs and no teeth.
Yeah.
I was so in my head about the teacups messed with me.
Yeah.
The ride that is in I don't remember what it's called in Busch Gardens, but it's everywhere. It's a circle. You stand in this little cart, but it's a wavy circle. And it's
the
down,
Himalaya, a lot of places.
Okay. Every carnival or fair has one. Every boardwalk has one. Oh my God. It messed with our inner ear dizziness so much more than the roller coasters ever did.
I've heard a lot of people that as they age, spinning becomes a real problem.
It's a real problem.
They can still do roller coasters and such.
Today.
But I also think interesting about those, the rides where they're nonstop action, right? Roller coasters are very short, but very intense.
Yeah.
You don't really have time to think about it. But the swings should be just pleasant, but you have time to think.
There was a lot of time. A lot of time. And maybe that's what's happening. The swings, we went around and by the 6th time I was like, get me off this. I don't want to do this anymore.
I had a similar experience with swings a while back now, but I feel like they don't really buckle you in that well. It's
it's literally just a little thing.
Yeah.
It's a little tiny metal
very
bar
insecure.
that has a little seat belt, so I guess that the thing doesn't rise and fall. There is nothing other than, again, this is a woven plastic wicker look situation. And I'm like, if this is even the slightest bit dry rotted, this caboose
is gonna bust through.
You've seen it. Girl.
Yeah.
I think my inner ear is going to be messed up forever. I should probably take yet another Dramamine. But it was really fun to do that with my mom this weekend.
Yeah. That sounds like fun.
Yeah. What are you thinking about, Matt?
I am thinking about this will come as no surprise to you. I often think of myself as someone who doesn't really have a lot of passion or passions.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why that's the story that I tell myself.
I tell myself the same story.
Yeah. And then something will come along that I am passionate about. And suddenly, like, I am a freight train that cannot be stopped.
Yeah.
A online friend of mine had posted that they installed a bird feeder. And like the only bird that they get is just like one lone cardinal. And I was like, well, you need to have like different stories of foliage so they feel safe, and you need to have like other food sources around if you want to see more birds at your bird feeder.
Mm-hmm.
And like went into this whole like 15 message long of like, these are some great plants. These are how you can like incorporate height. This is like, and just like locked in. So I don't know. I think I need to like do a better job of like when things like that happen of like inventorying, like, oh, you're passionate about this. Or like sometimes when people get me talking about education, even though I've not been teaching for 5 years now,
Wow.
I just like lock in and I have so many thoughts and feelings. And like, so yeah, I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking about. Sort of an invitation to be like, you do have passions. You just need to.
Yeah, you're just non-practicing.
Yeah.
You know? Like, and that's cool. I think I actually a couple years ago took an inventory of things that I was interested in. Things that I had collected over time. Like I looked at the accounts I was following on social media and like, do I care? Why do I care? Yeah, I think as silly as it sounds, having a list of the things that you like and enjoy or are curious about, it's not a bad idea. It's saved me.
Yeah. And it's a great thing to come back to like when I'm feeling uninspired to like just like pick something from the list and go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at us. This whole entire thing is a rabbit hole. So
yeah. Truly.
On that note, do you have a passion for food chains?
I love a fast food chain.
Oh my God. Tell me your favorite.
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot like that. I don't know. Okay. I don't know that it's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be controversial. But I think my most like consistent fast food chain that I visit is Hardee's.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to hit me with the Taco Bell.
I do love Taco Bell. Here's the thing is I appreciate each fast food chain for what it is.
They're like my children.
Yeah.
I can't possibly pick a favorite. I am a fast food connoisseur. I love it. Do you want to get back to the episode? Do you want to tell the people what we just watched?
Yeah. So let's talk about this one. So Magic School Bus gets eaten. All of the kids are showing up to the day and they have a partner report presentation to give. Said report felt like more of just like a casual presentation, but
I mean, it was hardly an assignment.
It is elementary school.
Okay, that's
lest
fair.
we forget.
Okay.
So their and their partner had to bring each one item and then talk about how those two things go together in relationship to the beat. But our dear friends Keisha and Arnold, neither one remembered to bring anything.
Which, I mean, I'm disappointed in Arnold. He's kind of like our nerd. Like, he seems pretty locked in.
Yeah, but like Keisha, I feel like
she's
very out of character for her.
Yeah, no.
Like our poor anxious Arnold. I feel like if the day didn't just go just right, he's gonna just lose it, you know?
That's fair. That's fair. He really did fall apart.
Yeah. So they have a tuna sandwich. Sarah, what's in a tuna sandwich?
Oh, girl. I mean, how do you like it? I prefer Miracle Whip, and that is a controversial take.
I prefer Miracle Whip as well. No, but that was one of the things they were like, what's in a tuna sandwich? Obviously tuna.
It's tuna. It's a tuna fish sandwich.
It's not chicken, Jessica Simpson.
It's like the chicken of the sea.
So they don't know how these two things go together, but through, I think, a little pre-planning by Miss Frizzle, who is aware of what's going on, is like, these kids do need some help. Like, I don't want them to fail here. They start the report. They introduce their pond scum that was on the bottom of Arnold's shoe and their tuna sandwich. And then the buzzer goes off and it's time to go to the beach, where they end up exploring food chains and find the connection between pond scum and tuna.
Yeah. And we're better off for it.
Yeah. Do you have any initial thoughts on the episode before we get into your questions?
I mean, the episode itself was pretty light. The actual meat and bones of the episode is pretty short.
Yep.
And so we're halfway through and I'm like, we've not talked about anything. But yeah, I was starting to get worried. I'm like, I'm going to have to research this to find
Come up with some
to ask
questions.
Matt.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, what's your first question?
Okay. So I did take a couple notes. So at the beginning of the episode, they go through the very basic food chain of the ocean.
Yep.
Phytoplankton, zooplankton, and then anchovies, and then they jump over to tuna because, hello, tuna sandwich tie-in, we love it. First of all, we need to find consensus on the pronunciation of zooplankton. I think they said zooplankton.
Yes. So I looked that up while we were watching. It is spelled zooplankton.
Right.
But the Google machine said it could be pronounced zo as in Z-O-H or zoo.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Jury's
Well,
out.
Fair. That's fine. I just don't want to sound like an idiot calling it zooplankton. But as long as that's okay, that's okay.
I think we're going to agree to call it zooplankton here.
Perfect. So backing down the food chain to phytoplankton.
Yep.
At like a biological level, what are they? Are they animal? Are they plant?
Yeah, good questions. Phyto, the like prefix there, it's like photo, light, plankton. So they are plant. They need light from the sun to grow.
Okay.
So they're basically, I believe most, if not all of them, I think all of them are single-celled that have chloroplasts in them. Those chloroplasts absorb sunlight, make sugars, and they go about their little lives.
Okay, easy. So leading into my next question, if a phytoplankton is a single cell thing, that's how we tell it apart from a zooplankton. Zooplankton's more complex, more cells.
Yeah. So some of them are singular cellular as well.
Well, then I don't like that.
But there are multicellular ones. And the big difference, zoo, animal, they are animal they are animal plankton.
Okay.
So they cannot produce their own energy. They have to eat in order to get energy. So they, zooplankton, get light from the sun, make their own energy. Phytoplankton do. Zooplankton eat them to get their energy, steal the energy that they got from the sun.
And these are some of the very basic concepts that I'm sure I learned as a child, but are just so obvious when you say them out loud now as an adult. Great. Fantastic. So my next question, phytoplankton get eaten by zooplankton. Zooplankton get eaten by small fishies. I think they said anchovies. Can we calculate? Can we quantify the energy transfer? Like how efficient is it?
It's not.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
oh no.
This is one of the biological principles that only about 10% of the energy at any level moves on to the next level.
So when I eat a delicious prime rib steak for dinner, only 10% of that energy is like fueling me?
Okay. There's a distinction to be made here. At
Okay.
any particular level of a food chain, only 10% of the energy captured moves on to the next one. Some of that energy is lost to their like body processes, keeping themselves alive, fleeing from predators, illness and death. So it's not to say that individually, like when you eat something, that you only get 10% of the energy from it. Okay. But at any particular level of the food chain, only about 10% makes it to the next highest level of the food chain. Like 90% of the energy is lost to that particular level of food chain. Okay. Which is why when you think about a food chain, there are so many more plants than there are animals. There are so many more anchovies than there are tuna, right?
Okay.
Because it can't support as many. So they're like apex predators are typically fairly few in population with the exception of humans.
Well, and I want to get there. Can we go back to phytoplankton? So it's a fact. Phytoplankton are plants. Plants, whether on land in the sea, do a very important job with oxygen and carbon dioxide. And this isn't about the food chain necessarily, but it's a curiosity that kind of popped into my mind as we were watching the show. How is climate change and rising temperatures or inconsistent temperatures in the ocean affecting the important processes of these like phytoplankton within the ocean?
Yeah. So actually, phytoplankton are more important than I think we originally realized in terms of
Oh.
carbon sequestration and like production of oxygen. So back when the world was new,
Back when the world was new.
yeah,
Mm.
they algae phytoplankton caused a mass extinction event.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
They did what now?
they caused a mass extinction event.
How? What did they do?
Because they were so good at scooping up carbon dioxide and putting out oxygen, they literally changed the composition of our atmosphere.
Oops.
Yeah.
So they killed themselves because they're greedy?
I guess. Yeah.
So they like killed everything and then they like
I mean, not everything.
there wasn't
but
anything
like
else that was
a
okay.
bunch of stuff died, and then had to
no.
like readapt to the new atmosphere. But I don't know if you've seen like there's sometimes articles or even memes that'll come out and they're like cities are looking at like these algae containers to replace trees in like urban environments. Okay. Yeah. So I've seen them and people are like, well, what's wrong with trees?
Nothing. They're just not as good at the
They're
job
just
as
not as good at their job as algae are.
interesting.
Yeah. Now I imagine some algae are not doing so hot with warmer temperatures.
Yeah.
And like, especially because if they can't tolerate warmer temperatures, they can't exactly go deeper into the ocean where it's cooler because they won't be able to get the sunlight.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that in of itself, have we seen any impacts of, within the food chain? You mentioned one way back where algae was too good and things died, but like if algae's not doing so good, like do we have any examples or is it just a warning right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know specifically. But algae definitely play a role. Being from the Chesapeake Bay area, you're probably familiar with like bay dead zones.
Yeah.
A lot of times that's an effect of algae because being a plant, if they get excess nitrogen, they can reproduce very rapidly and they will suck up all of the oxygen from that area of the bay where they've received all of that influx of nutrients. And deoxygenate the water, and then the fish and like crustaceans and turtles and whatever don't do well in those areas. And also, hot water doesn't hold dissolved oxygen as well or dissolved carbon dioxide. That's another impact of global warming that's a huge issue is that as the oceans heat, they can't hold as much carbon dioxide. And so the ocean has done a really great job of insulating us from the effects of global warming thus far. But as it continues to get hotter and hotter, it has to let some of that, or it doesn't have to let it out, but like naturally some of that carbon dioxide comes back out of the ocean. So not great. Yeah.
Not great. Okay. Yeah, interesting. This isn't about food chain either, but red tide, that's a thing that happens in like Florida, I think on the Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
What's that?
So I may have to correct myself here, but I think those are just algae that are red.
But they come up and they like, then all these like dead fish wash ashore because it's the same kind of thing.
Same situation. Yeah. They're taking out the oxygen.
Shoot. Okay. Well, we don't love that.
Gotta manage our nutrients. Hey, Matt from the future. Just a little bit more about red tide and also dead zones. So red tide is caused by algal blooms, but one of the big issues with red tide is that algae produces toxins, the specific algae in red tide, that is harmful to plants and animals. Whereas the issue with dead zones is in particularly warm waters where there's already a low amount of dissolved oxygen. When algae die off, their decomposition actually uses up oxygen. And so the areas become very deoxygenated, which can lead to the death of other plants and animals.
Yeah. And it also affects my recreational use of the beach. Not to be selfish, but I love the beach. And I love going down to the Caribbean. And it makes me sad when they're having
fish.
Tidal issues or I know this is like a completely separate thing, but like the coral bleaching and whatnot. Very sad. I don't love it.
Don't get me started on coral bleaching.
Do you want to talk about coral? Will we have an opportunity to talk about coral bleaching later in the season?
I know we talk about intertidal zones at some point. I don't know if that's this season. I don't know how much more sea stuff we get, but we don't have to talk about it.
Okay. Well, next week is about habitats, but if you want to put in something about coral bleaching,
I will.
say your piece. Say your piece.
I'll plug to the people. I highly recommend watching Chasing Coral. It was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is, but it is a really good documentary that is meant to sort of mirror the like Chasing Ice documentary, which was talking about ice recession in the Arctic. They are trying to track and video in like real time bleaching events in corals. And every time I showed it in class, I cried. So,
okay. Well, I will find where it lives and I will link it in the episode notes. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think I asked the question already, but just short, sweet, to the point, without my interjections. What happens to the entire system, to the entire food chain, if the phytoplankton population crashes?
kaput.
That's it. Like everything in the ocean dies.
I mean, if like there was some event that could literally kill all the phytoplankton, probably. Like there are some of the deep sea stuff might survive.
Oh, yeah, I love those little freaks.
Yeah, well, I hate those little freaks, but
it's one of my special skills is knowing a lot about them.
Because like there are deep sea vents where they don't get light, and there's these anaerobic bacteria that they convert chemicals to energy, like sulfur compounds and stuff. And they're very different than our sort of light-based plants, but it would be a big crash out. Yeah.
So talking about food chains specifically, and like I mentioned at the beginning, the way that they described it seems really elementary. And the way that I remember learning about it in school was really elementary, but I don't remember ever learning any sort of like intermediate food chain information. Like open-ended question, is there anything that you want to tell me where it's like, yeah, food chain, yeah, food web, but really like this is a more advanced way of thinking about it?
I mean, it's a fairly simple concept. Obviously, food chains, food webs are way more complex and interconnected than we teach. Simply for the fact that like they're so interconnected and complex that like that's a whole area of study, right? It's too big. I think a lot of the upper level stuff really gets away from the actual like, anchovy gets eaten by tuna gets eaten by whale. And instead of being like sort of life size, goes to like a very like molecular level, which is interesting, but I don't know, kind of not as interesting to me. Like it's interesting in its own right, but like I think for me, once biology gets away from like the macro scale, I'm like, well, let's just do chemistry then.
Okay.
And I mean, it kind of is, right? Which is where I think you do lose some biologists along the way. Like there are people who are very much just interested in like the ecology. Yeah. So, I mean, I think something they simplify in the episode is like, he sort of talks about if like something disappears from a food web, it can have like big effects. That is both true and untrue. It really depends on the food web. There are like keystone species in a lot of food webs where it's like if they crash, like everything kind of crashes.
Okay. Keystone species are absolutely on my list and I want to yap about those.
But then there are others where like, it's not going to be a good time for the food web, but like it can probably bounce and something else might fill that niche.
Since you mentioned it, can we talk about keystone species?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay. So I don't even know where to begin. Do you want to start by telling me your favorite keystone species?
I don't know that I have a favorite keystone species.
I feel like this should be like an introductory question. Like, hi, my name's Sarah. What's your favorite keystone species? Because I don't know either.
Hi everybody, Editing Sarah here. I just wanted to pop in and clarify that every time I say keystone species in this section, I'm actually intending to talk about apex predators, and God bless Matt for just going with it. So to clarify, a keystone species is an organism, it could be a plant, an animal, or a microbe, that has a disproportionately large responsibility in keeping the entire ecosystem together. Meanwhile, we all know apex predator, carnivore, top of the food chain. I'll let you get back to the episode.
But I think about, I guess I ask because I want to talk about maybe them a little bit more specifically. So I know like the reintroduction of like wolves into North America has been like really great for the environment and, has had different impacts. I know around here where we live in the mid-Atlantic and specifically on the Eastern Shore, we have our own pretty serious issues if you want to keep a healthy woodland area with deer and fox, because our former keystone species don't live here anymore. So it's like, I know that they're a really big deal, and there are ways that you can have an alive ecosystem, but not exactly the most thriving ecosystem.
Yeah. I mean, so a couple of things, right? I believe around here, like, I think white-tailed deer were introduced.
Oh.
I don't think they're, like, I think they've been here a long time now.
Sure.
But
Sure.
I don't think they were like native. And I'll fact check myself on that one, but I don't think they were like native. Because like I remember my dad telling me when he was young, he's like an avid hunter and fisherman, that it was rare to see a deer. Hey, Matt from the future here. Got to correct myself. White-tailed deer are native to Maryland, and they predate European settlement. The populations did dip significantly for a while due to deforestation and overhunting, but now they're considered overpopulated in some areas.
But I think that's what I mean is like the population has exploded significantly, right?
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of reasons for it, right? Like we have certain laws and regulations about hunting. We have as many deer, if not more, but in fewer areas. I think, we are clearing woodland for farmland or housing development, so leading them to move to other areas. And I mean, I don't remember, I don't want to like be wrong. So, but I'm pretty sure there used to be in our area where we grew up, like a predator type animal that helped with the population. Like, we used to have like coyotes or some type of.
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think we ever had like wolves or coyotes.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll future Sarah and confirm that I was wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there were, though. Hey, Matt from the future again. Just brushing back up on my Maryland native animals. So Maryland did have a couple of apex predators on the Eastern Shore. Actually, there were red wolves as well as mountain lions that lived on the Delmarva Peninsula until they were removed in the 1700s by efforts from people who were worried that they would harm livestock. Just to keep on the table for a second. Agriculture provides a pretty consistent and constant source of food for deer. Their population is not being checked by limited resources because resources are always abundant.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So can we talk about what happens? Like, I guess if something changes and there is a new normal, is the new version of these ecosystems that are being created because of one reason or another, whether it's due to human intervention or evolution in and of itself, when do we see things changing for the good, and when do we see things changing for the worse?
Yeah. So I would say biodiversity is inherently a good thing, right? Like having a diverse ecosystem is good. I think a lot of changes to ecosystems we think of as always bad.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, they're often neutral. There's no ethical assignment to them. But when we think about it, we often think about it in the ways that humans have impacted the natural order, right? A natural wildfire occurring and changing the forest ecosystem is just a thing that happened, right? Like it's obviously devastating to the animals and our plants that lived there, but
it's
new
sad.
growth comes, right? Like there are certain pine trees that
right?
need that as part of the reproductive cycle. So it's just it's a neutral thing. Where I think it becomes a problem is when there are human impacts that are significantly altering the ecosystem fast. Right? A lot of times, ecosystem changes are quite slow. Things have a chance to adapt and change, migrate, mutate, and, evolve, whatever. But the rate at which humans are changing the ecosystem is alarming because it is drastically altering the landscape in a way where it's harder to adapt to.
Yeah, and I think next week's episode is about habitat, and we've not recorded that yet, but I have a feeling a lot of these questions might go hand in hand with what we'll learn there and our curiosities there. I think it's kind of difficult to even talk about one without talking about the other.
Yeah, I would guess that's why these two episodes are next to each other.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm excited to get more into that next week. And I didn't mean to lead us astray, but you know me, curiosity leads.
Chaos follows.
So humans are at the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
I would argue.
Argue.
I would argue that modern humans are at the top of the food chain.
Yes.
Do we have consensus on where the line in the sand is of when we were predator versus when we were prey? Is it the discovery of fire? Is it when we started using tools and weapons? Do we know like when we officially became top of the food chain?
Yeah. So I will say, I think we've always sort of been in the top of the food chain.
Sure.
Maybe, we had things that would try to prey on and eat us, but like we were putting up a fight versus
and we have
like
a level of consciousness, like a level of awareness.
Versus like antelopes aren't fighting back in any appreciable way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, where they start distinguishing us as humans, I think from then on, we're pretty much at the top because, we pretty quickly, like they start identifying us as being human when our early ancestors start making tools and having fire and those types of things. So like, but at the same time, there were multiple species of early human, which were made extinct by our current species of human or other impacts. But for a while, they thought that the Homo sapien species just completely decimated Neanderthals. Not today. Turns out we actually did like hybridize and interbreed with them. They've found. But yeah, I would say we've always been pretty close to the top. Hey, Matt from the future here again. I did a little more research about when humans were considered apex predators. And they make the distinction that around 2 million years ago, humans increased the complexity of their tool usage and improved their hunting skills. And from then on, they would be considered an apex predator.
I wanted to ask you about human diet.
Yeah.
In relation to the food chain.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned agriculture, so it reminded me of this thought that I had. Humans are the only species on the planet that gets to really like pick and choose and personalize our own diets.
Mm-hmm.
And despite what the carnivore diet wants us to believe, we weren't just meat eaters always. Yeah. So what's interesting to me, I guess, and how I'm going to kind of put these two thoughts together is the tops of other food chains, right? Like sharks in the ocean are eating really big fish or, whatever, sea mammals.
Seals
and that's their primary diet. Why do we as humans have often a better quality of life when we eat lower on the food chain and not just like our next biggest thing? I feel like every other species is just eating the next smallest thing, I guess. But we are all the way down here still messing around with spinach leaves.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting question. I would guess that it relates back to the fact that we truly are omnivores. And the next, smallest thing is animals, right? And so our bodies need not just like fat and protein, right? They certainly need a healthy amount of that, but we also need, plant matter, carbohydrates, things like that. Like our digestive system, our body functions best when we're getting a diverse diet. Because even like before we were doing agriculture, like hunting and gathering, it would be, getting whatever kind of like mollusks, berries, fungi,
harvesting
whatever
wild yeast
that you could get.
Yeah.
And then when you were lucky and were able to kill an antelope, like you'd eat on that bad boy for a while. But
Yeah.
so I would say that it's in part probably a little bit evolutionary. I think there's also something to be said for a lot of the diseases that get us, or what they sort of call diseases of affluence, like heart disease, diabetes.
Oh, yeah.
Not like type 1, but type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
And if you think about a lion, I'm going to antelope a lot today.
Pick on the antelope. That's fine.
But like if you think of a lion chasing down an antelope, they're expending a lot of energy to do that. So they're not going to get fat from eating the antelope. Like they're
Right.
mostly replacing the energy they used to hunt that down, and then maybe getting a little extra if they're lucky to, do their other daily tasks like mating and, whatever they do.
Whatever.
Hanging out.
Yeah. Cat stuff.
Going to bridge club.
Yeah.
Singing at the Jellicle Ball. Like, yeah. So I think in our modern world, like we can sit on our butt and eat McDonald's, and like that's not great for your heart, right? Because like you're not working your heart, and you're eating things that also clog up your heart.
Guilty.
Yeah. So
I mean, we're just talking about our favorite fast food restaurants. Didn't think this would come full circle, but whoops, called out.
Here we are. Yeah.
Okay. Can we go back in time? I actually have another question about.
We can turn back time.
If I can turn back time. I guess phytoplankton.
Okay.
I learning about a thing, but I don't remember anything about it. Called the oxygenation event, the great
oxidation event. Yeah.
Okay. So did we answer that explicitly in a roundabout way?
Yeah. So
Or
that's
very
sort of what I
clearly?
was talking about, where like
Okay.
there was a big boom of like plants in the ocean, and they like changed
what
our
that was.
atmosphere. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Can I sing another song? It's all coming back, it's all coming back to me.
A girl in her gay watch, the Magic School Bus gets eaten. The Cher Spectacular.
The Cher Spectacular. It's girl, you've been to my house. You know it's a Cher Spectacular.
Not that
Okay.
that last song was Cher, but
That's the only voice I know how to sing in is Cher's, and like a bad one at that. Like my impression of Cher is not good. It's the only one I
Honestly,
do.
that impression of Cher is actually kind of close to Celine, though. Like they do have a little bit of like a Venn diagram.
That's fair. That's fair. The only thing I know about Cher is
Wagon wheel or Tootsie.
It gets me every time.
And snap out of it.
Yes. Okay. So my last more sort of thought experiment question for you, not like, direct teach me science, is if photosynthesis never evolved, happened, what would life on Earth look like? And would the more complex organisms even be possible?
Yeah, it probably wouldn't.
Oh.
I think like we'd probably still have deep sea thermal vents, right?
Mm-hmm.
With some, cyanobacteria. But without the progression to photosynthesis, I don't think there's a way to harness enough energy to do it. Because like the reason that the deep sea bacteria work is because you have a lot of heat, and you have like all of the sulfur compounds and stuff being vented out of the Earth's core. That's not really portable. Like you gotta be on the vent. And I think even a lot of like the more deep sea creatures probably were more mid-ground or higher, and like were outcompeted there, and so like evolved their way down.
Okay.
Rather than starting there.
Interesting. I like
It's
to
like
play in the space of never happened, never will, but what if?
It's like the cavefish that like it has eyes, but they don't work.
Crazy.
Because it stopped needing to use the eyes, and it was advantageous to save the energy from doing eye to do other stuff.
Me when I sleep. Okay.
I'm just saving the energy of doing eye.
Absolutely. I'm going to change subjects entirely. Is your brain ready? Okay. Where do parasites and like invasive species sit in food webs? Because they're not, okay, I'm thinking specifically about like parasites that get into an animal and like do a genetic takeover thing. That's not food chain, but they're eating.
What do you mean do a genetic takeover thing? Say more about that.
You know those parasites that like the zombie parasites that like affect ants and stuff?
Okay. Yeah. I think those are fungus, but yeah.
Great. I'll
Yeah.
take it. That's not food chain, but that's kind of food chain.
It is. It is. Well, fungi are sort of in their own weird little space in the food chain.
Okay.
Because they're both decomposers and producers.
Okay.
In that they can produce energy, but they also like break things down and absorb energy. So like plants are generally what we think of when we think of producers. They produce energy and inject that into the food web.
Okay.
But then you have like consumers, which eat things for energy, and then you have decomposers, which like eat dead things for energy or break down dead things for energy. And fungi live in this weird middle space. I would say that parasites are still consumers. They are taking energy from another organism. They aren't necessarily killing that organism, although they could, right? Sometimes parasites can. So like I would say that they are, I think the other thing with the food chains is they always seem very linear, and that's not necessarily the case, right? Like tick is parasite, so it's technically above like the deer that it's feeding on, but like, or let's say cow that it's feeding on, but then like the oxpecker that comes along and eats the ticks off is like above the tick, like
right,
and branches off, right?
The web,
which is what, right? The web.
Okay,
Does that answer your question?
I think so. I also wanted to talk about, mostly because it's seasonal currently, I wanted to talk about the Bradford pear tree, and it got me thinking about invasive species. And then that's what kind of made me start thinking about like the crazy ones, right? Like parasites and stuff. Does an invasive species disrupt the existing food chain? Do they support it in a similar but less effective way? Or are they just like completely wrecking it?
All of the above, actually.
Okay.
So invasive species outcompete native species typically. Not everything that might get introduced somewhere is going to become an invasive species.
Sure.
It may fall into a particular niche within the food web. It may not thrive, right? It maybe can't live there.
It can be non-native and non-invasive, is my understanding. Okay.
Yep. Though, like, for example, right, there are native flowers and such that bees, butterflies, hummingbirds feed off of. They still might feed off of, more ornamental plants. Oftentimes, the nectar value from the ornamental plants is not as high as their native plants. And so they are having to work harder to get the same amount of energy. Whereas if native plants are available to them, so, and obviously the harder to get food, the more like loss you're going to have in a species, right? Hummingbirds or butterflies or whatever that are maybe ill, if their predominant source of nectar is native plants, maybe they don't have the energy to like get over that illness. So then they die. Invasive species can also completely decimate a food chain in that they might be somehow better adapted. They might be somehow better adapted to their area that they've been introduced to. And so they're out competing for food native species. And then those native species end up not surviving because they don't have access to their food anymore. So they can do varying levels of harm.
Is it is ecological harm more about what something takes away, like what something removes, or what it fails to support?
I think it can be both, right? Like,
okay.
If a particular animal moves in and it fills that niche that the other animal was experiencing, that animal is like gone. Is it overall harmful? No. Is it a shame that, that bit of diversity is gone? Yeah. Like, if there's an extinction or something like that. I sometimes kind of struggle, and like, I'm a big natives guy.
You love it. And I love that you love it. I
sometimes struggle with like overly applying ethics, like human ethics to it.
Yeah.
Like, do I think we should take steps to mitigate like introducing non-native species, absolutely. But
Make the
like,
Bradford pear illegal everywhere, period.
yeah. But like we also, I don't know, I like to hate on a house sparrow. Like it's not their fault. They're just doing what they do. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and to some extent, like migration and movement of animals is normal and natural. But I do think we also have a sort of responsibility as humans to limit as much as we can the amount that we are the ones causing that. Right. Like let nature do what nature does. But like, let's try to have the least impact, as little impact as we can, because we as humans do just have such an outsized impact, right? Like no other species is as widespread and impactful on the natural world as we are. And we have to be mindful of that.
Yeah, that's a it's a really interesting thought when you sometimes I get I guess it's the ego, right? Of like, I'm not an animal. Like, I'm a human. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'm both. And it is interesting when you say migration, like, yeah, we are just animals moving into different ecosystems and potentially, more often than not,
We're
causing
the invasive
harm.
species.
We are the invasive species. And to your point, yeah, I think assigning ethics, I think it's a good thing, but something that I try to apply in my life at every corner is don't let perfect be the enemy of good. It's okay if you want to tear out like your sad Bermuda grass, nothing lawn and like do a completely picture perfect 100% like exclusively native recreation of what it once was, 500 years ago before your neighborhood was built or whatever. But like that's very expensive, that's very time consuming, and that might not even be legal where you live.
Yeah. And I
So
mean,
doing little things along the way that bring you joy, that add to your curb appeal, that make your home more beautiful, but supports the
yeah,
native ecosystem, I think is fantastic.
that is one thing that sort of looking around in the native plant space and like being interested in it, I wish we did more of like, I wish there were, like, I love a meadow. I love a wild ass meadow, right?
Yeah.
But I wish even that like more botanical gardens and like native plant spaces also did like curated gardens of like, you can still have a curated, polished looking yard that includes native species, right?
Yeah.
Because to your point, sometimes perfection is the enemy of good. In an ideal world, great, like we'd be only using 100% native species. I don't mind seeing some non-native plants purposefully included,
Yeah. A
especially if
nice
they're
soft lawn for your
non-invasive.
kids to run around on. That's
Right.
great. Okay. Well, as always, did I forget anything? Is there anything you want the people to know?
What do I want the people to know? Sometimes the goal of biodiversity is for the benefit of humans, and I think that's okay too.
Yeah.
Right? Like I often get down on humans as a collective group, but we are truly impressive and like do really cool, neat things. And like that is valuable. Human life is valuable. Like that's a core value of mine. I think on a society level, I sometimes don't broadly apply that, but like we do really impressive and cool things. And it's okay to like want to preserve something just for the sake of humans. And it's also perfectly good and cool to like want to preserve life just for the like value of life outside of humans.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely great. I think it's really easy to kind of get wrapped up in, all the harm that we're doing. But absolutely, it's okay to want to have a beautiful world so that you can go out and enjoy it and do fun things that, like scuba,
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Now, are you ready to play a game?
Now I'm ready to play a game.
Okay, let's play a game.
Let's play a game.
Okay. So, who's our main character today?
This is something I've thought about. I'm not sure. We don't have any really like special guest stars.
Right.
Keisha and Arnold are pretty prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Arnold is always like he's sort of a main character.
He is like the main character.
We did have that fisherwoman.
I love that fisherwoman, actually. Do we know her name? You called her something when we watched it.
I only called her Miriam Margolyes because she sort of looks like Miriam Margolyes, who played Professor Sprout in the Harry Potter series.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Should we do one for our fisherwoman? She seems a little lonely, I'm not going to lie.
She does. Let's do one for our fisherwoman. She's the only non-reoccurring guest in this episode.
Yeah. Okay. So our unnamed fisherwoman. Okay. Ooh, who am I thinking of? There is a guy on social media who does all the lobsters. Like, he's married with kids, but no disrespect to his partner. I think his name's like Luke. Am I wrong? Do you know this guy?
I don't.
Oh my gosh, he's so fantastic.
A lobster guy?
He is a Maine lobsterer, and he goes out and he pulls up, his lobster traps, and if they're egging, he'll like restamp their tail. It's very informative and educational. And his big thing is like, give her a little snack, toss her back, and he like jams a piece of fish in her claws and like just throws it back.
I have seen these, not for a while now, but yes.
I don't remember his name, but I think it's Luke, and I'm gonna call him Luke. And if it's
Luke,
not,
the lobster guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who do you think?
Who's that fisherwoman? Gosh, I don't know people.
I'm so terrible at people.
Yeah.
I think we should also give her the option to just be lonely. Like, if she likes just her in the sea.
Yeah. Old woman in the sea.
Yeah.
We should give her a woman as an
Absolutely.
option.
Is it Miriam?
I mean, I think it is her. So like, but no, like I think it is her. So I don't like she's gonna marry herself. That's nobody.
Quickly name one woman.
Ariel. She falls in love with a mermaid.
That's fantastic. Okay. I think for cars, she needs like a small boat. She needs like a medium-sized boat, and she needs like a really big boat.
So we're not gonna give her any cars. We're just gonna give her boats.
Well, you got mad at me last time for naming something that wasn't a car, but she's a fisherwoman.
She's a fisherwoman. Well, she might need something to pull her boat.
She lives on the sea.
She's a Ford F-350.
Diesel.
I think the 350s are diesel.
I want to give her a houseboat.
Yeah.
And she just wouldn't have to go anywhere ever.
Yeah.
What if she also just has a stand-up paddleboard?
The Titanic.
Oh my God. Pre or post? Okay. Color. Don't say chartreuse.
I was gonna just do it. Lilac.
Okay. Lovely. Lovely. We're both wearing green today, so.
Red. Oh.
Occupation. She's obviously a fishmonger.
Yeah. Should we just give her multiple fish related?
Yeah. Fishmonger.
Sailor. And marine biologist. Also, she was catching a lot of trash. Like
so much trash. There was not a single fish in that boat. We always leave the option for people to not have children. We love it.
Yeah. I think she also has like 8, possibly, just like living below deck.
Oh my God. That would be crazy if she just has all those kids on the boat.
And they're rowing.
Or she has a child in every port of call.
Yeah.
So there's like 432, I think. It's a different kind of system that she works under. We don't ask questions. She's an egg layer. All right. All right. Where is she fishing? Where is she living? What's happening?
Mauritius.
Nope. Mauritius, I think is how it's spelled.
Yeah, it is. Antarctica.
Lovely. And obviously the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Predict the future. What's happening? Oh my gosh. Leisha! Your partner's name is Luke the Lobster Guy, and you have 432 children. She stays cheating on this man. I'm so sorry, Luke the Lobster Man. She is a marine biologist who drives to work every day in a lilac houseboat. It's truly a wonderful life when you consider the countless romantic nights you spent with Luke the Lobster Guy in your shack in the Chesapeake Bay.
That kind of tracks. Like one of those like Tangier like shacks out on the water.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I think unnamed fisherwoman is going to be pleased with this result.
Look, the kids are a weird choice, and I stand by the fact that she lays clutches. I think that's a reptile term. I don't know what the fish term is.
I think it's a clutch still.
Is it a clutch? Great.
Wait until we get to fish spawning.
Okay. I will wait.
This was
I don't think I'm going to like the animation of it.
Miss Frizzle lets them kids get spermed on.
Great. That's great. Okay. Well, Matt, I think that's a wrap
Yeah, I
on our
think
Yap session for this week.
I think we did it. I think we did it.
I think we've given the people something to look forward to as well.
Well, that's a wrap on our Yap session for this week. If you enjoyed the episode, subscribe and share. We can be found on Instagram and TikTok at A Girl and Her Gay Watch and on Blue Sky at The Girl and Her Gay Pod.
If you'd like to get in direct contact with us to ask a question or submit a correction, send us an email at agirlandhergaywatch@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.